Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause again, and I've got a video for you, an article review. This is basically about Debbie Wasserman-Shultz, she was the DNC chair for a while. She got kicked out of being the chair for basically rigging the elections against the Democratic primaries, that is, against Bernie Sanders. And then what happened is, of course, Hillary Clinton hired her onto Hillary Clinton's campaign because they all protect each other. They all break laws for each other and then protect each other, or break rules for each other. And what we're finding out is that Debbie Wasserman-Shultz is doing all kinds of bad shit. And I just want to go over a couple things real quickly, but there's a lot more. If you want to read this entire article, you can. But it says Florida Democratic Representative Debbie Wasserman-Shultz, she's a Democrat, whose office equipment U.S. Capitol Police seized in a criminal investigation into congressional network security violations, admitted she violates official information security policy, and blamed the House's chief administrative officer for not stopping her. Because, of course, when you're caught doing something wrong and you're this high up in the pecking order, you just blame someone else. So members are not supposed to be using Dropbox, Wasserman-Shultz asked. Not according to the policy, Ramsey replied. And then she goes on, I am more than happy to admit that I use Dropbox. I have used it for years and years and years. It is not blocked. I am fully able to use it, she said. So there's a vulnerability in our network in spite of the fact that you say that you've taken steps to address it, she continued. And there's not enough of a policy that applies across the board, and you need to make sure that you tighten up your rules and policies so that you can really take and assure us that you take seriously protecting our network. So let me get this straight. It's the Capitol Police's fault that Debbie Wasserman-Shultz used Dropbox when she wasn't supposed to. But this article is actually really good. There's a lot here. There are these hour-and-a-half exchanges you can watch where she blames, obviously she likes to blame other people and not take responsibility for anything, just as Hillary Clinton did. But I'm not going to go through that entire article because I've got this one to go through as well. It says, Wasserman-Schultz's office allegedly tried to intimidate someone with a voice changer. Forgot to hide her caller ID. Now, that's all kinds of stupid. These are the people leading our country, folks. These are the people leading the Democratic Party. If you're a Democrat, this cannot make you feel good. Former Democratic National Committee chairperson Debbie Wasserman-Shultz allegedly called a law firm investigating the DNC and attempted to disguise her voice with a voice changer, which probably would have worked out just fine if she had only remembered to turn off caller ID as well. Can you imagine the laughter by this law firm? According to Vessel News, attorney Elizabeth Liebeck's office revealed a call today from an individual who is apparently using a robotic and genderless voice-changing device, sniffing around with questions about the DNC lawsuit. Now, I don't know much about voice changers, but I'm guessing if it's robotic and genderless, it's a little more of an advanced one. Because a lot of times when you hear these, you can still tell if they're a man or a woman. The outlet said this post by Beck, which states that the lawsuit concerns documents leaked by an anonymous hacker known as Guccifer 2.0, which strongly should suggest that the DNC colluded with Secretary Hillary Clinton's campaign to perpetuate fraud on the public. Wasserman-Shultz and the DNC are defendants in the suit. So she's actually getting sued over this. Back to today's voice changer mishap. Vessel News reports that after a brief chat with the law firm's secretary, the mysterious voice masking caller concluded the call with an okie dokie. Unfortunately for the mysterious voice masking caller, they forgot to turn off the caller ID. Okay, first of all, that is actually quite stupid in itself. If you're going through the troubles of using a voice changer, or a voice masker and all of that, forget the caller ID. Wouldn't you want to take out phrases that could identify you, like using the phrase okie dokie? And also, she probably used it like a bitch, you gotta check in on this, okie dokie. Unfortunately for the mysterious voice masking caller, they forgot to turn off their caller ID. After the call ended, a simple Google search of the phone number 305-936-5724 shows that it is a phone number for Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman-Schultz's Aventura office. Beck's filing of the incident states, and you can check the filing here. Republican, here's a little screenshot of it. Representative, I keep saying Republican, I always do that. It's Representative Debbie Wasserman-Schultz. What just occurred in highly irregular, and we will be filing, what just occurred is highly irregular, and we will be filing the instant email with the court forthwhile. The filing concludes. Needless to say, this has promoted quite a bit of laughter online. These people can laugh all about it or whatever, but to be honest, I don't think this is a laughing matter. This is quite serious. Whatever about them making fun of her. She is clearly worried about something, and if you are on the side of the Democrats, and you think that, this has all been a witch hunt or whatever, ask yourself, why is she using voice maskers to call law offices that are, looking into the situation where she basically committed, broke the rules of the DNC and helped Bernie Sanders or helped Hillary Clinton to, work with Bernie Sanders and or to work against Bernie Sanders, why is she so worried? If the genderless voice was Wasserman-Schultz herself, this would not be the first time she apparently attempted to intimidate someone. And remember, on this article, there was IT wrongdoing as well. So in the clip below, which I'll play for you, it's only 3.5 minutes, you can see her attempting to intimidate a police chief who confiscated a piece of evidence related to an ongoing investigation into one of her IT staff members. Now let's listen to this.
I'd like to know how Capitol Police handle equipment that belongs to a member or a staffer that's been lost within the Capitol complex and found or recovered by one of your officers. What happens?
This is the Capitol Police Chief.
Well, it's processed on a what's called a PD 81, which is a property record. And depending on the property, depending on how if you can legitimately determine ownership, then it's generally turned back over to the owner of the property. If it's part of an ongoing case, then there are other things that have to occur for that to happen.
So if a member says that they have equipment that's been lost and you find it, it would be returned to the member?
In the general sense, yes.
Okay.
You have to identify. You have to be able to positively identify the property and be able to establish ownership.
Right. And if ownership is established,
if it's part of an ongoing case, then there are additional things that need to be done.
but if the member owns the equipment and there is no ongoing case related to that member, then the equipment is supposed to be...
By the way, part of this. What's actually going on here is there is actually an ongoing case with this piece of equipment. She's talking, in general terms here, but this is actually about a laptop that was taken from one of our staff members.
Be returned.
Right, in a general sense,
And she wants this laptop back. I wonder why, what's on it,
yes.
No, I mean in a specific sense. If the member loses the equipment, says they lose the equipment,
Yes, ma'am.
and it is found by the Capitol Police, it is supposed to be returned.
If ownership has been established,
Right.
it'll be returned. If it's subject to an ongoing investigation,
She's just going to keep asking this question until she hears the answer she wants, and he's just sticking to his talking points and not giving her what she wants to hear.
there are additional things
Okay.
that need to be turned
But
over.
not an ongoing investigation related to the member. If the equipment belongs to the member, it has been lost, they say it's been lost and it's been identified as that member's, then the Capitol Police is supposed to return it. Correct?
Well, it's not I can't give a yes or no answer on that because I know.
It's a simple
more
yes or no
parameters.
answer.
Well,
If you lose, if a member
She's trying to tell the police chief, how to answer her own question. Yeah, this is a legitimate question, isn't it, Debbie? You're not just fishing for the answer you want, because you're not trying to, further any sort of agenda, right? To prove you didn't do anything wrong when you did.
member, if you lose, if a member loses equipment
Yes, ma'am.
and it is found by the Capitol Police or your
That was a little slip up there where because she's thinking of this in terms of herself, in this specific situation, but she's trying not to refer to it. So in her mind, she's like, okay, I did this, I lost this piece of equipment, and I want this laptop back, and then I've got to, somehow ask this question without the details. So I'm gonna, ask if someone were to lose some piece of equipment, aka if I were to lose a laptop.
staff, and it is identified as that member's equipment, and the member is not associated with any case, and that is their equipment, it is supposed to be returned. Yes or no?
Depends on the circumstance.
Yes or no? And he's like, fuck that. This is not a yes or no. She's just so bad at her job. Trey Gowdy would have this out of this police chief in no time. I mean, Debbie Wasserman-Shultz is just so bad at everything she does.
And if the circumstances are...
She's a poor woman's Hillary Clinton, and Hillary Clinton is pretty bad at what she does.
I don't understand how that's possible. Members' equipment is members' equipment. It is not.
So now she's getting frustrated, and she's going to get away from the questions, and now she's going to tell the police chief how it is.
Under my understanding, the Capitol Police is not able to confiscate members.
Guess what? Your understanding might be fucking wrong, or it might not even be your understanding. You're just making shit up so that you can convince the police chief to give you this shit back.
Equipment when the member is not under investigation. It is.
Look how much she's blinking, and now her expressions with her hands and stuff are starting to change. Her voice is starting to change. Look at this look. She's getting fucking furious.
Is their equipment, and it's supposed to be returned.
Well, I think there's extenuating circumstances in this case. And
Then the police chief is like, fuck it. Debbie, there's extenuating circumstances here.
I think that, working through my counsel and, the necessary personnel, if that in fact is the case, and with the permission of, through the investigation, then we'll return the equipment. But until that's accomplished, I can't return the equipment.
I think you're.
Boo. No. Now listen to what she says here, because she's had it. She's blown her casket now. her casket. She's blown her gasket now. And just listen to this response.
I think you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and should expect that there would be consequences.
I think that you're violating the rules when you conduct your business that way, and you should expect consequences. Wow. She just threatened a police chief in an open setting. This is how above the law these leading Democrats are. And I'm sure leading Republicans are as well, but, we're not talking about the Republicans right now. We're talking about the Democrats. And we can be pretty sure that the Democrats have done a lot of shit wrong. And they just keep doing shit wrong. And they're not getting in trouble for it. And we need to see some prosecutions, because they have gone way over the limit. They have rigged their own primary and taken away democracy quite literally to an extent. If you want to talk about eroding democracy, and I get really upset when people talk about how Trump is eroding democracy and, he never should have been elected. Look at what Hillary Clinton did. That actually, you can project whatever you want on a Trump, but we actually watched Hillary Clinton destroy democracy on the Democratic side. And the Democrats are literally arguing in court Sanders supporters are suing that they want their money back because they gave money to election that was rigged, and they think that this is effectively fraud. And their lawyer is arguing that they don't have to be a Democratic Party. They can pick whoever they want. They could go to a back room if they wanted, and that basically supporters should just be lucky that they don't even go to a back room and decide. And it's quite ridiculous. Doesn't that scare you that the Democratic Party leadership lawyer is arguing that the party does not have to have a fair election for their primary?
And you should expect that there will be consequences.
And you should expect that there will be consequences. That's that.
And should expect that there would be consequences.
So that's that. It's pretty ridiculous the many ways that Debbie Wasserman-Shultz has broken the law, and now she's disguising her voice with voice changers. I mean, she's just going freaking batshit crazy. And if there weren't some things she's done that is seriously wrong, this all ties back to Seth Rich. And, you have to wonder how worried she is for her career, and in general, she's acting like someone who's worried about going to prison. She really is. She seems willing to take out anybody, attack anybody that gets in her way, to basically obstruct justice and get in the way of any investigation. I've already covered all the Seth Rich stuff and how the Democrats have basically planted a family lawyer that is a DNC operative, that is a crisis manager for the DNC. While Trump has taken all the hate, it's really the Democratic Party. Trump eventually is going to go away because, maybe he gets reelected, maybe he doesn't. But with, by 2020, I guess it'll be 2020, there will be elections, and then if we reelect him 2024, he'll be gone, not of politics. The Democratic Party will not be. It's not going anywhere. It's fundamental, the there's fundamental flaws with how the party is set up. This is not just a Debbie Wasserman-Shultz problem either, but by going after someone like Wasserman-Shultz, you can hopefully create change within the Democratic Party. And, Hillary Clinton has been largely discredited in the public eye, at least, and she's still pulling strings, but I think, it might be easier to go after someone like Wasserman-Shultz than Hillary Clinton, even though what Hillary Clinton did is she's done plenty wrong as well. So anyways, we need to continue to expose the Democratic Party. We need to fix the Democratic Party, and as someone who used to vote Democrat, I'd like a less corrupt Democratic Party so that eventually someday I can vote for them, because ideologically I agree more with Democrats than Republicans. I'm an atheist and all of that, so I believe in large safety nets, and I don't agree with progressives at all, but like liberal ideology with individualism and free speech and all that kind of stuff, that falls on the liberal left. So yes, let's fix this Democratic Party. Let's get rid of these corrupt fucks, and let's change politics for the better in the future. Have a good one, guys.